The Dark Prophet, written by Michael Geitz and Doug Burke. Read by Dan Gold. The stillness wasn't normal for the desert, and the 13 men hidden in the rocky crag high above the compound knew it. It made their eyes turn toward the horizon, stretched out in an endless line of burning sand. They had watched from their perch for 2 weeks, suffering through the desert heat and stinging wind that swept sand across the dunes. But now it was silent. There was nothing. And to the hard men born of the desert, this meant something. "There, Cassim, do you see?" "Yes, Rabiel."
Can it be?"
The one called Cassim leaned hard into the dusty ridge and looked through his binoculars. Far below, a hooded figure carried a leather satchel into the stone-walled compound. He was followed by a group of 11 other hooded figures. They stopped in the middle of the compound and knelt in prayer. Cassim watched carefully. For the past weeks they had observed many such processions, but this time it was different. This time there was a great reverence and purpose in their manner. Even an outsider would have noticed it. But in this isolated valley, hidden in the barren wastelands on the border of Iran and Afghanistan, only the men on the hill and the hooded holy men of the gematria below understood the significance of what was occurring.
"They have it!"
"By the will of Mohain, Cassim," Rabiel whispered. "For 2,000 years our people have waited, Rabiel. Today our destiny is upon us. We wait no longer." Jake Demnick woke hard from his drunken slumber, as he always did. His dull eyes cracked open slowly, giving way to the fierce pounding deep in his head. He had heard something that jarred him awake, but he wasn't sure what it was. He heard it again, a muffled ringing from somewhere. He sat up and shook his head, trying to clear his sight and thoughts. "What the hell day is it? How long have I been out?" Again he heard the faint ringing sound. "Must be the phone," he thought, letting the empty bottle he still clutched slip from his stiff fingers. He crawled toward the sound. "Where the hell are you?" he screamed, searching for the source of the ringing. He looked around the ransacked room, half remembering the drunken fury that had caused it. He tried to focus his eyes toward the sound. They fell upon the overturned couch, and he dragged his numb body toward it. He grabbed the cord and pulled the phone toward him, knocking the receiver off the hook. He picked it up and held it to his sore ear. "What?" he snapped, his dry throat cracking. "Jake?" asked a familiar voice. "Who's this?" "Jake, this is Jim Stevens. Christ, Jim, what the hell are you up to?" He leaned against the couch, rubbed his eyes. "Police work, Jake. You know, the usual." Yeah, I know the routine. What day is it, Jim?" "Tuesday." "Ah, Tuesday." He had been out for 2 days. "Listen, Jake." Stevens paused. I got something I need to tell you. It's important." "I'm listening." "Well, when's the last time you saw Margaret?" "Oh, shit. I don't know. Couple days. She ran out on me. Is she in some kind of trouble, Jim? Because if she is, you're calling the wrong guy." "I don't quite know how to say this, Jake, but Margaret was stabbed last night. A janitor found her in the bathroom of a church, more dead than alive. We got her down at General. She's in real critical condition, Jake. They don't know if she's going to make it." Jake said nothing, his aching brain suddenly whirling into confused images and emotions. He felt something rise from his stomach, and a sour mixture of whiskey and bile spilled out of his mouth onto his chest. The room began to spin around him. Jake, I'm sorry to be the one who has to tell you this. I know how close you and Margaret were, but I didn't want a stranger." "She's a general?" Jake interrupted coldly. Yeah, why don't you meet me there as soon as you can, and we'll go over some things. And Jake, at least she has a chance." Jake hung up the phone and leaned hard on the couch. His face was pale, his hands trembled, and his insides felt cold and lifeless. He stared at the floor with numb eyes, and for the first time that he could remember, a tear ran down his rough cheek. He brushed it away quickly and got to his feet. Jake Demnick would never cry again.